There's something fascinating that happens when women go to therapy. Like, people celebrate women going to therapy. There are a lot of women in therapy in the healing space, listening to the podcast, the coaching, all the things. And people will celebrate you until it costs them something. People will celebrate you going to therapy. They'll celebrate you having the boundaries. They'll celebrate you becoming a self-aware woman until it limits the access that they have to you, until they have to change how they interact with you. Then all of a sudden, you want too much, you're hard to love, you forgot where you come from, you're opinionated versus being assertive, you're intimidating. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that now that you are a self-aware woman and now that you have boundaries, that people treat you differently? This is the thing. The problem is not your healing. The problem isn't that you've done the work. The problem is that you are no longer making the lives of other people easy, especially in relationships. Y'all remember in Waiting to Exhale when, I forget her name, she was on the patio and he was down in the summertime. I think his name was Troy, in that leather outfit, and he was cussing her out because she had said enough is enough. See, that's how society really want to do you. Society is standing outside in a leather outfit and it's 145 degrees outside, cussing you out because you said no, because you are not going to allow a man to show up late. You are not going to let a man breadcrumb you. You are not going to allow a man to future fake. You are requiring care. And this is the thing, when you make the decisions to say no, not just in romantic relationships, you are rejecting an entire system of expectations. And this is the thing, society is built on women just living by what society says that we can have access to, but you know something different. And today I want to talk about really why everybody mad that the self-aware women are saying no to struggle love. This is the thing. We often, I did the video, stop teaching your daughters to serve grown men, because we have taught girls that love is something you give and not something you receive. If you are the eldest daughter or you are the parentified daughter, you know this to your core. You were taught to cook, to clean, to serve. You may have served your brothers. You may have gotten a job as a teenager and you weren't able to save any money because your money went to the family. You may have been the latchkey kid. So you got home before your siblings. You had to do your homework. You had to make sure they had a snack. You had to make sure that they didn't get in trouble, because if they got in trouble, you got in trouble. So one thing was that you were taught to give love, but you were never taught that you were able to have expectations of the people in your life. So when you all of a sudden, they see it as all of a sudden, but when you decide that you want to be in a relationship where love is reciprocal, society has an issue with that. Because you were taught that you were supposed to carry everyone else's needs versus abandoning and neglecting yourself. Many of us grew up in homes where our needs were not catered to, where our needs weren't taken care of, but we were responsible for everyone else's needs. You were the family's therapist before you even understood emotions. You watched your parents to see if it was a good time or not. You knew when things were hard in the family without anyone ever having to speak a word. Why? Because you were a parentified child. And this is the thing. Society now expects you to get in a relationship with a man and do the very same thing. People may have praised you for being mature, right? Oh, and this is the thing. You may have even had a conversation with your parents about how they treated you differently than your siblings. And that was like, well, you were so mature and you could handle it. But you didn't have the option to show up differently. And that's why I do the work that I do, because many women find men that love them the same way that they were loved in their childhood, meaning they're pairing themselves in relationships with men that are neglecting them. And that neglect may be physical, it may be emotional, it may be financial. You're in a marriage and he's neglecting you. And I would encourage you to schedule a coaching call if you are experiencing that in your relationships. So then you become an adult. And before you did your healing work, of course you were over-functioning in your relationship. Of course you were self-abandoning in your relationship. Of course you believed what it meant to be a good woman and to hold a man down and to be a ride or die. You believed all of that. You were showing up that way in a relationship until you did your healing work. What happens to a woman who says, I'm no longer interested in that type of relationship? Some of you have left relationships because you did your healing work and you're like, this man doesn't love me. He doesn't have the ability to love me the way that I need to be loved. He doesn't have the ability to love me in a way that doesn't trigger my nervous system. He's telling me this is love, but it's not. I had a client I spoke to just last night, and I said, there's a difference between care and love. That's why a man can cheat on you and tell you he loves you. But does that man care for you? Does that man respect you? And when women become self-aware and say, you know what? There's certain things that I'm not going to tolerate in my relationship. People have a problem with that because we have to think about the socialization of women versus men. Some men, unhealthy men, right, who still haven't done their work, have been socialized that just being a man is enough. I can show up to a relationship. I can cheat. I can betray her. I can lie to her. But you as a woman are saying, listen, I'm a woman who done my emotional work. I'm not going to be with a man who hasn't done his emotional work. What Tony said, that's not the man for me. He's not man enough for me, is what she said. And that's what I hear self-aware women saying. In society, baby, society mad at y'all. Ooh, society. Who you think you is, gal? Who are you that you went to therapy? Who are you that you have standards? Who are you that you have non-negotiables? Who is you? And you don't know. You the baddest of the baddest. That's who you are. And you're deserving of a relationship where there is love and there is care and there's reciprocity and there's respect and where you esteem each other. But when you are raised to give love and society says that you're supposed to give it without even receiving it, that's a problem. And that's society's problem. It's not you're not crazy. If you ever ask yourself, am I crazy for wanting what I want? No. If you've ever doubted that what you want is out there, it's not. But there is propaganda against women that make you feel like you have to shrink, make you feel like you don't need to do too much or you don't need to be too much, make you feel like I heard a man on the interweb say, if I see a woman, she's bought a house, that tells me she wants to be single for the rest of her life because I'm not going to move in with her. So a woman makes a financial decision to buy a home and you interpret it as she wants to be single for the rest of her life. Not that she can have a rental property and you guys purchase a home together. So a woman is supposed to live in an apartment her whole entire life. She's not supposed to be self-sufficient. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's problematic. Now, let me tell you this, and you already know this. Society is more comfortable with women's sacrifice than women's standards. That's why your boundaries and your standards are fought tooth and nail. You know, that's why you're asked or taught or conditioned even to be understanding. Your understanding of his trauma, your understanding of his financial situation, your understanding of his fear of commitment, your understanding of his attachment style, your understanding of everything. And you have to start asking yourself, who does that benefit in this relationship if I'm the only one that's being understood? What I need from you is understand. No. But that's what we're taught. We're taught to be so understanding and over-functioning in a relationship that is depleting us. That is I know you have been in a relationship with a man and you are emotionally starved, emotionally drained. You're giving and giving and giving. And society will tell you one day you're going to get a great reward. Hold that man down. Be his peace. While he causing chaos, you be his peace, boo. Be his peace. Hold him down. Take care of his child that he had on you from somebody else. Because if you're going to stay in a relationship, you need to take care of that child. You need to accept that child as your own. Now, who does that benefit? Who does it benefit? Because it doesn't benefit you. The understanding is always directed towards him. But you're the one that's having to sacrifice for the relationship. And we're taught that's what a good woman is. She sacrifices. You know, relationships are work. Relationships have their up and downs. So here you are in a relationship, or you've been in the relationship in the past, and you're the one sacrificing for the relationship. It's your credit the house is in. It's your credit the apartment's in. It's your reach down in my... Why? Why? Because society has expectations of what a good woman is. And being a good woman doesn't serve anyone. Well, it serves everyone, forgive me, but you. What society deems as good is really you being taken advantage of. What society deems as good is really you being neglected. What society deems as good is really you allowing another person in your life and to mistreat you. And let me talk to my Christian girlies because I'm a Christian. I got a whole lot of songs today, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm going to say I'm a CHRISTIAN. Anyway, listen, let me tell you this. That's where this whole submission conversation comes in. Oh, you let your husband lead you. You know, I think it was in the video I did with Brittany, and she was talking about hearing a woman say that she doesn't even correct her husband. She lets Holy Spirit correct him. So if she sees that he's doing something wrong, listen, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I believe that you should see yourself as a board, okay? A nonprofit or other companies, they have a board. The board hires the CEO, okay? And if the CEO ain't doing right what the board do, fire him. To the left, to the left. You don't let a man come in your life and you are just giving, hoping and wishing. But we as women have been conditioned to stay in those relationships. We have been conditioned that that is what a good relationship has been. Why? Because of our childhood. Because of our childhood. For some of us. That this is what you do, that you just give. You just understand everyone else. And nobody has to understand you. Nobody has to show up for you. Nobody has to provide care for you. You're called selfish for what you're wanting. You were made to share your toys and things with your siblings. Come on. When does enough become enough? So this is the thing, right? So your understanding, your all of things is directed towards him. One thing society has done is they've romanticized endurance. And one thing I have taught you, unless you're new here, is that the same skills that you use in your childhood, you can't afford to use in your romantic relationship, sugar. No. That man should not have access to the capacity that you've built through pain. And so you had a painful childhood from 0 to 18. You get in a relationship. And society tells you, especially if you marry that man, that divorce, and if you're a believer, right, or you practice organized religion, has issues with divorce. And so you're supposed to endure your whole entire life in an unhealthy relationship. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And society will celebrate, right, the woman who stayed. They will. Society will celebrate that. Society will celebrate a woman who's endured, the woman who took care of the additional children, the woman who took care and stayed with the man who was cheating. Society, oh my gosh, that's a good woman. Society doesn't point it to the man and say, why would you make this woman go through this? You said vows to her, or not even vows, you told her that you loved her. This is not love. Society will never look at a man and say, you're doing her wrong. No, society will look at you and say, why don't you endure more? Why don't you accept it? So, nobody's perfect. And I hate that saying. I hate that whole, oh, well, nobody's perfect. And I'll tell you, that burns my biscuits. Because while nobody is perfect, you shouldn't be accepting somebody who is abusive and neglectful. Where'd they do that at? And that's the issue. Society will have us accepting love that's not love. Well, they'll have us accepting abuse and calling it love. Why are you in a relationship with a man who's not mistreating you? Why are you in a relationship with a man who is mistreating you, who's not honoring you? And society wants you to stay there. This is the thing. When you do your work and you become self-aware changes what feels like love. No longer is there this push-pull in the relationship. No longer do you want to be triggered in your romance. No. No longer do you just want grandiose as your late acts of love only for the cycle to start again. I did the video about disrespect, and I'll put it up here so that you can watch it, and how it talked about essentially the reinforcement of the nervous system, inconsistent reinforcement of the nervous system builds a stronger attachment. Some people haven't left relationships that haven't served them. It's based off of attachment, not love. Attachment, not love. And so they're trying to protect their homeostasis. But see, you are the type of woman that's saying, I cannot afford to get in this type of relationship. Because I personally believe that if you had childhood trauma, if you have attachment issues, that you can't date and be in a relationship like other people can. Nobody should be in a relationship in which they're neglected or mistreated. But I really believe if you know that you've had All of the things happen to you where you have had to give love without receiving it, where you've had to be understanding, where you've had to overfunction, where you've had to self-abandon. You as a child had to self-abandon for your family. The family that you come from, not the family that you created. You didn't have choice. Why does society want you to link your life to a man and engage in that all over again? Because society is only seeing you for your labor. They're not seeing you for your personhood. And you're like, Cynthia, listen, I'm single. Okay, I'm single. I don't want this. Or you may say, Cynthia, I'm in a relationship and I'm looking at it like, I got to get out of here. This is not what I want. I keep telling him, listen, this is what I need. This is what I want. It gets good for a while, then it doesn't. Or he minimizes it. He's emotionally neglectful. But when you say no, you're rejecting society's expectations. And society is having an issue right now with women. Women who are wanting more, who are not wanting more. I don't want to even say war. You're demanding what you deserve. Because this shouldn't be extraordinary. This should be the ordinary. This should be the regular. That you're loved, adored, respected, cared for, and desired in your relationship. I remember watching Cecilia online. And someone said to her, you are very beautiful. Why aren't you married? And she said, the type of man that I'm looking for, that essentially, I'm paraphrasing, is suitable for me, is rare. And I'm going to wait until I'm found by him and I find him. See, the thing is with society, especially when they talk about your biological clock and hitting the wall, they want you to hurry up and get in a relationship. They want you to hurry up. They don't want you to say, listen, I love me and I care about me enough that I'm going to wait to be in a relationship with a man where it's reciprocal, where he respects me, where we esteem each other, where there's romance, where I can tell him that I love flowers and he doesn't mind going and buying me the flowers, where he'll make me a steak in my luteal phase, where he cares for me, where he's concerned about me, where he's attentive to me. I'll wait. Society's like, what? No, there's a man right here. You can take this man. No, I'll wait. When women start rejecting society's norms, it's a problem. Because how dare you, when you were raised to give physical labor, you were raised to be wife material. And this is the thing, society has an issue with the women saying no, but those men, right, have an issue with the women saying no, but those men do not go with the women that want to say yes. Why is it that they want you to compromise on your boundaries? Why is it that they want you to compromise on your standards? Why? Why does a person come into your life and then want you and demand that you compromise? Because it don't benefit you, it benefits them. That's why. It benefits them. So let me tell you why you can't afford struggle love, especially if you are a parentified daughter. Listen. And I've had this conversation a few times over the past couple of weeks, right? You were probably raised to be the responsible one. You were raised to be the one to take care of everyone. Even in your life today, you probably still have responsibility to your family. Some of you, your family calls you, your mom calls you, you're there. They need money, you give it because you were raised to be the responsible one. This is the thing. The way your nervous system is set up, you cannot afford another bad relationship. And I plan on doing a whole video on that. Many women that I work with have been in romantic relationships that were triggering to them, where your body was saying, we are not safe. You cannot afford to be in a relationship in which you are not emotionally safe. You can't afford to be in a relationship in which you are neglected, because it's going to reinforce the narrative, right? That maybe you aren't lovable, that no one cares for you. Why would you sign up for a romantic relationship that reinforces the lies from your childhood, that your needs come last, that you're supposed to serve everyone else? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You cannot afford to be in an unhealthy relationship. The impact that it'll have on you. Now, we've already talked on this channel about autoimmune diseases and how it impacts you. Being in an unhealthy relationship can lead to autoimmune disease, poor mental health, The research suggests that a woman in a bad marriage dies earlier than a woman that is single. Society is trying to push on us that being by yourself is worse than being in an unhealthy relationship. And who does it? It don't benefit you. You can't afford to be in another relationship in which you are not loved and cared for. Every woman wants her happily ever after, but society doesn't want you to have that. But when we say no, there's a whole lot of kickback, because how dare you? And let me say this, don't let you have made some mistakes in your past. Oh, you a baby mom? You a single mom? Oh, you're not a virgin? Oh, Listen, you as a self-aware woman, you are threatening the system. When you stop accepting struggle love, when you say, no, I can be understanding that he had childhood trauma, but I'm not going to be his therapist. He has to go to therapy. I understand that he may have a mother wound, but I don't have the capacity to nurture him. Because this is the thing, your needs matter too. Why are you the one person carrying the emotional weight of two people in the relationship? Why are you expected, right, to respond positively to poor behavior in a relationship? He's not emotionally available. You're like, yeah, I know he's not emotionally available because ABC 1, 2, 3. That's what society wants you to do. But when you say no, right? When you say, you know what, I'm not going to reward his inconsistency with patience. I'm not going to confuse his potential with partnership, because I know that potential is not real. I'm going to partner with him based off of what I see, based off of what I experience. I'm not going to stop giving unpaid emotional labor to him. No, I'm not going to take care of his children. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sign. I am not going to connect my life to that. People have a problem. It could even be the woman in your family, because they have been conditioned that this is how a good woman shows up. And the problem is, good woman has been defined by society, but it's not defined by you. But now you get the opportunity to define what a good woman means to you. And it means that you are able to say yes or no to the care, to the love, to the respect that you deserve. When self-aware women say no to struggle love, families have to adjust. They have to adjust. Right? Your friends have to adjust. Dating culture has to adjust. We always say there's pee in the dating pool. But I think there's adjustments being made to the dating pool, because there are men who want and desire a healthy relationship. And they're like, this is how I have to show up in order to have this relationship. I want you to know that initially there often is resistance. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing some resistance to women saying, I'm hearing Aretha Franklin, sisters are doing it for themselves, right? There's resistance. And it's not because what you're asking for is unreasonable. It's because that boundaries redistribute responsibility. And we've moved from women can't keep in a man to no, a man has to show up being loving, caring, kind, consistent, evolved, patient, nurturing, a partner. We want an egalitarian relationship where we're seen and treated as equals. Because when you stop over functioning for love, that means other people have to function more. And what has happened is that women have been over functioning for centuries. And now women are saying, listen, if you don't come to the proverbial table with the same things I have emotionally and in other areas, then we can't be together. I'm not going to sacrifice my nervous system, my mental health, my soul, my mind, will, and my emotions for love, which is truly not love, because you expect me to be sacrificing, but you don't want to. Society is fighting against you because you're not fighting. You have made a decision that you're not going to live up to its expectations, that you're redefining what a good woman is on your terms. And guess what? I love that for you. This is Heal the New Sexy. My name is Samithia. I want to hear from you down below. Listen to your nervous system, lady, because it cannot afford another bad relationship. Make sure you subscribe and also comment.